Runaway Mountain is the lone indoor coaster at Six Flags Over Texas. Many people talk about its sister ride Six Flags Great Adventure in Skull Mountain, but I think Runaway Mountain is the better experience. I will explain why in this review. In 1996, Six Flags decided to add 2 indoor coasters to their parks. One would be Skull Mountain at Six Flags Great Adventure. This would be an intimate family coaster. The other would be Runaway Mountain. This would weirdly be a Premier Rides creation. Premier Rides is most well known for their launch coasters. Heck, you can find one just up the midway in Mr. Freeze. Throughout their history, they have only built 3 coasters without launches. 2 of these coasters would be their water coaster model, both of which are now defunct. The third is Runaway Mountain. This also happened to be the first coaster Premier ever built, and has started a long, fruitful relationship with Six Flags. Runaway Mountain wasn't exactly a custom layout. The ride would have a nearly identical layout to the Hurricane and Windstorm models found at smaller parks and carnivals across the country. For example, you could find one of these rides at the most recent Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Several manufacturers have built these over the years, including SNMC, SDC, and even Zamperla. But you may not be able to tell that Runaway Mountain is a clone because its layout is enclosed in the dark. And I love the presentation from the outside. You have a 7 to 8 story tall rocky facade. It is supposed to have a waterfall, and it did at one point. Now, either I've been really unlucky in my visits, or this rarely works anymore. The outdoor queue line has all sorts of mining equipment, but you also have an adventure aesthetic to it with all the wooden posts and rope in the queue structure. Then the end of the queue line load platform is themed to a dark rocky cavern. If you've been on Skull Mountain, the pre-boarding experience has a similar feel to it. Runaway Mountain usually is a decent sized wait. Most days, it'll be around the 20 to 30 minute mark. If you visit during spring break and especially Fright Fest, expect to wait a bit longer with the uptick in crowds. If you want to beat the lines, you can head here at the very start or end of the day. Not many people make this their first or last stop. Alternatively, there are 2 ways to bypass the wait. First, you can use the paid Flash Pass Skip the Line system. You can either purchase the all-day unlimited option or purchase single shots. Second, you can use the single rider line. There isn't much signage for it, so not many people know it even exists. You walk towards the exit and you have a door right into the load platform. However, I have never seen an employee here, so it's the responsibility of the guests to spot an empty seat and walk in if they see one. Fortunately, it is fairly easy to do so. The employee manning the standby line only lets enough people into the station to fill the next train, so if you see a single person lined up for a row, feel free to take it. Runaway Mountain has 2 trains. Each train has 3 cars, and each car has 2 rows of 2, so the train can hold a maximum of 12 riders each. I like the back car best for the extra whip on the drops, but as a trade-off, the front has 2 light spots of airtime you don't get elsewhere. One of the weirdest parts about this coaster is the restraints. Rather than being a traditional lap bar that rests on your lap or thighs, you have this metal rectangle that rests against your stomach. They look like torture devices with the lack of padding and odd shaping. But ironically, these are probably the most comfortable trains Premier has ever designed. They actually have some legroom and are easy to board. Fortunately, most of this coaster is extremely smooth, so the awkward restraints are mostly a non-issue. The Windstorm and Hurricane coasters are traditionally a bit janky, but this one tracks considerably better. Remember all that great theming I mentioned? Well, that disappears once the ride begins. There are no visuals whatsoever. The main ride takes place in this bare and very dark building. The track and supports are black, and there are 0 lights, so you normally cannot see a thing. This sort of works to the ride's advantage. The POV I'm showing is a special lights-on version provided by the park. There also is no audio in there, so it can be creepily still if you ride with a quiet train. Typically people will be screaming though, and those sounds will echo throughout the building. If you ride during Fright Fest or holiday in the park, you may get some lights and music. For these 2 holiday seasons, the park often adds music and projections on the side of the building, and best of all, the park often places a Yeti in the final helix that's illuminated by strobe lights. This has to be a dig at Disney and Expedition Everest for Disco Yeti. While these holiday overlays are certainly cool, I prefer to ride the attraction in its standard form. The lack of light accentuates the speed, and it allows the turns to sneak up on you. When you ride during the holidays, the light from the theming partially illuminates the track. Once dispatched, you slightly turn left out of the station into the darkness. You then climb the roughly 6-story tall lift hill. I don't think it's a chain lift, rather, I believe it uses booster tires. At the top, you have a flat turn right that turns into a swooping drop. It's about half the height of the lift, but you get some decent whip here from the suddenness. Next is a bunny hill high above the ground. No airtime, unfortunately. Then you have a twist upwards into the right. This leads directly into the ride's largest drop. It's a shallow plunge, but you'll get some whip in the back car as you're pulled around the prior turn, and you have quite a bit of speed at the bottom. You then twist upwards into the left. Now it's time for the ride's signature moment, the dive drop. This is a ridiculously steep drop that twists 180 degrees to the left. The train is violently whipped down it. It's a similar sensation to the third drop on Grona Lund's Jetline if you've been on that coaster. Or it's just like the other Hurricanes and Windstorm coasters. The resultant valley is super tight, so it pulls substantial positive Gs. Then you immediately twist 180 degrees upwards. It is just as whippy as the drop, and you climb it so fast that those up front even get a little airtime at the top. This element is intense on a normal windstorm, but it's extra powerful in total darkness. It is so disorienting. At this point, the train is hauling. You then have a 540 degree downwards helix. It is surprisingly forceful with nice sustained positive Gs. You then get a brief reprieve on the shallow dip, and then you have another 540 degree helix. This one is even tighter than the prior one, so the Gs are a tad stronger, and the sense of speed is phenomenal. The exit slightly rises upwards into the final brakes, which gives those in the front car a smidge of airtime. You then come to a hard stop. Now, remember how those restraints are against your stomach? Well, you will be gut punched here. It is similar to the final break in a Mauer Skyloop, so I highly recommend bracing yourself coming out of that last helix. You then emerge from the darkness into a separate unload platform. You then disembark, ending the 1,500 foot or 457 meter long coaster. The most surprising element about this coaster is the pacing. Windstorms have some brief lulls, but Runaway Mountain feels significantly faster. The darkness definitely contributes, but I think the ride carries its speed better as well, hence why the final elements have more oomph than usual. So what would I rate Runaway Mountain? I would give this coaster a 7 out of 10. This is a solid indoor coaster. I have enjoyed the other Windstorm and Hurricane coasters I've ridden, but this takes the experience to another level. It is smoother and slightly more forceful, and the lack of lighting accentuates the speed and makes the twisted layout unpredictable. I much prefer this to Skull Mountain. While Skull Mountain has the cooler facade and best single moment with that ejector pop in the first drop, the rest of the layout does a lot of meandering. Runaway Mountain is much faster paced and engaging start to finish. While Six Flags doesn't have too many indoor coasters, Runaway Mountain is a nice fit at Over Texas. It allows you to still enjoy a coaster while escaping bad weather, whether it be rain, lightning, heat, or cold. So those are my thoughts on Runaway Mountain at Six Flags Over Texas. What are your thoughts on this indoor coaster? Are you a fan of this ride? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.